Okay, good deal. Hi, guys. This is Mandy from Horse Industry Business Owners, and tonight's guest is Ariana Johnson from Black Unicorn Creative and also the co host of Young Black Equestrians. Thank you so much for being here, Ariana.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So, tonight you're going to talk with us about how you went from a full time employee, you were working a full time job, and then going into full time entrepreneurship. So, let's talk a little bit about your business, what you do, and how you started this journey.
Yeah, so in August of 2019, I technically started my business, Black Unicorn Creative LLC. I help horse industry businesses, establish their digital hoofprint through graphic design, logo design, web design, and social media branding work. So that is pretty much what I do now. It wasn't always that way, but that is kind of what my business grew into once I finally decided to take the leap.
Awesome. So, everyone's tuning in tonight because they want to learn, what are the steps to getting to where you are today? What does it take to feel confident and comfortable with leaving the security of a job and taking on your dream, running your business and doing it and feeling like, that's the next step. So tell us a little bit about how your decision came about and why you decided to move forward with that.
Yeah, so just a little bit of background so you guys know where I came from. I got a degree in animal science for undergrad and then a degree in One Health, a master's degree. And One Health is the study of human, animal, and environmental medicine and kind of the holistic approach in that. So I actually completed that in May of this year, but since I graduated college, I was working in a small animal hospital. I worked as a technician, kind of worked up through the ranks and was monitoring anesthesia, helping with surgery, stuff like that. But then I said, okay, we don't see like super cool things, we're just general practice. So let me go into management. And so I started managing the pet resort because it was struggling at the time and was given the creative freedom to, create doggy daycare programs and create all of these fun little activities, client appreciation weeks, and just a whole bunch of random stuff. We tie-dye t-shirts as a hospital, like all these things. I was able to do that, was able to bring in, increase revenue by the double digits for the pet resort itself over 3 years. And I kind of got to a point where I was like, okay, what's next? I looked around and I said, there's nobody here that I want to be. Before it was like I wanted to be like my manager. I wanted to be, but once I got to that point, it was like, what's next? So I kind of had to make that choice and say, hey, it's time. It's time to go. It's time to go do something different.
Hmm. So, what are some of the fears that went through your mind as you were coming to that conclusion? Some things that just like thoughts racing through your head, like the what ifs. What are some of those that you dealt with?
Yeah, all of them. But more specifically, I was drenched in doubt. It took me, I maybe talked about leaving my job for over a year, at least a year. I started I got my business documents in August of 2019, and I didn't quit my job until August of 2020. So I was talking about it before that, obviously before I registered with Secretary of State. So it took a long time. I felt like, what if nobody supported it? What if I didn't ever get any clients? And I had to realize like not that these fears weren't warranted, but like I was doing what I'm doing now. I was already helping horse businesses with their logos. I was making logos. I was making social media pages for people. I was helping people with websites. I was giving advice. I was consulting for free. If you want to know how to start a business, look around and see what you do for free already. And so it was kind of silly. Like, what if nobody likes it? Oh, you're already doing it anyway. What? So I had to realize, like, oh, you're right. That it makes sense. That's a silly fear to have. But I mean, the really real ones, like, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to take care of my animals? I have 3 horses, 2 dogs, and 2 cats. How am I going to feed them? Imposter syndrome is just like my right hand man. we are buddies. We have discussions all the time because imposter syndrome is there, and at this point I've gotten to the point where I'm like, it's gonna be there. I'm gonna have those questions because I am like a worst case scenario kind of person. I like to be prepared. What happens if this is a horrible idea? Okay, well, you just get another job.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
honestly, yeah, you might fall behind on some bills. You might, come short at some point in your life, but what if it doesn't work? Just find another job. And I know that that's hard to say, like, especially in COVID times,
mm-hmm.
but people are hiring. People are hiring, and a lot of people are hiring for work from home remote positions. So it might not be something you want to do, but you can find something else to do, honestly.
Yeah, there's you just have to get creative sometimes, and sometimes
Yeah.
it does mean if you have to take another job on, sometimes it's just you have to remind yourself maybe it's just for a season. This is
Right.
not the end all be all. It's just for now.
Right.
And sometimes you have to focus on that mindset and making sure that your mindset's in the right place. Like, this is just what I need for today and tomorrow and maybe next month, but it's not my forever, and that's okay. And we have to
Yeah.
be careful not to be too hard on ourselves in that way too, because there's a lot of like, I've been through this. Sometimes I still go through this. No, I definitely still go through this, but like, well, what if this and what if this? And I just don't really want to do this today. I want to do this today, and
Yeah.
bouncing back and forth. But
The other side of that is, what if it's amazing? What if
exactly.
you blow your own mind? Okay. What if so many people come flocking to you that you have to raise your prices to weed them out?
Mm-hmm.
What if, and we have to say to ourselves, why can't we ask ourselves those sets of questions also?
Mm-hmm.
Give enough space for both sides of the coin. Yeah, you can plan for the worst, but what if
Yeah.
the best happens? That's crazy.
Well, the other thought is, what if someone else does it first? Like, the longer you sit on it, someone else might think of the same thing, and you'll be like, oh man, that could have been me.
Yeah.
That's a
But
possibility.
what I always say to that is, I could give you the blueprint. I could give you all of the steps. I could give you, the words to say. I could give you all the resources that I have, but there's no one that's going to be able to do it like you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what I do, it is not, at this point, we're not making up new things. Nobody's coming up with ideas that no one has ever thought of before. So it's just about how you, as a unique person, put your spin on it, put your
Mm-hmm.
delivery in there, and make it happen and resonate with your people. You might
100%.
not get somebody else's people, but your people.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So, do you still have any fears now that you're in it and you've been doing this for a little bit? Um, what are some things you still deal with on a day-to-day basis? Do you still have thoughts like, oh, I made the leap, I quit my job, here I am? How has your mindset shifted since you actually made the transition?
Every day at some point, I'm like, well, what do I do next? But honestly, I have done a lot of mindset work, and part of my story and my business journey is going through that with people. You know, I talk about that on social media. I talk about, you know, this is where I came from and this is where I had to be to get to where I am. You know, people say that, you know, like, oh my gosh, you know, y'all were in Horse Illustrated with the podcast, or you guys were, you know, featured in the New York Times. Like, yeah, that blows my mind. These things can happen to me, and I'm still like, well, what if nobody likes it? Like, clearly, girl, somebody liked it. You know, like, and it doesn't matter. Like, every single day, I have to remind myself, like, what you're talking about, like, you talk and then people listen and then they write about it. Like, what's wrong with you? So I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Okay, back to what I was doing, you know. So it's a constant process, and I had to learn that it's not like something I can check off, like, boop, I'm done with that, I can move on, I'm in the entrepreneur mindset. Yeah, here we go. Like, no, it's not it. It is a journey, and it's constant work. It's that's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of it. Not being scared to put yourself out there, coming up with new ideas and thinking somebody's gonna hate it. Okay, they might hate it. You know, maybe somebody will love it, but if those people aren't bringing dollars to your pocket, then you come up with another idea. That's it.
Absolutely. So when you were doing this and talking to people and your friends and your family, and you're like, I think I might quit my job. Like, did you tell them what you were going to do before, and did they support you?
Um, yes, they supported me. My family and my friends they have always been supportive. I am also the kind of person that has a lot of ideas. So many times they're whether it's like for real, like, yes, I think you can do this, or yeah, okay, good, go do that thing. You know, I don't know, because I'm usually like running my mouth. So my family and my friends are super duper supportive, but I did tell them, you know, so Black Unicorn Creative started off as like a customization company. Like, I was doing wine glasses, I was doing t-shirts, like I got my little cutting machine and I was like, I'm gonna do this because I love it. And then people started requesting things like, I want you to make the Dallas Cowboys with a rainbow and shooting stars. And I was like, I actually don't enjoy doing this. You know, I like making what I like to make. I don't like making what you want me to make. So that's and I was like, okay, I need to shift this. So being in a creative space, that's not new to my friends and family. They're like, yeah, she's gonna make something. She's gonna be creative in some sort of way. But really kind of honing in on my messaging and my focus for horse businesses. Like, yes, I do still help other people because they resonate with, you know, how I put myself out there, and they're like, I like what you stand for. Can you help me even if I have a beauty salon, you know? And there's a level of discernment that I have to have. Like, do I have the capacity to help? Am I the one to help you? But I think that's what's, I guess, more surprising for people is that I am really kind of digging down on my people. My people are horse people. Like, it's something I've been passionate about since I was younger. So that is the group of people that I want to help.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about saying no to some of the things that you felt weren't a good fit for you. Because I think sometimes what happens is that as a new business owner, sometimes it's tempting to say yes to everything because you're just so excited to get the business. So how did you come to that point of differentiating for yourself what you actually, really wanted to move into, right? From your shirts that you were making to where you are now. um, how did you come to that point?
So, two things stick out when you say that. So first thing is morals. Like if you don't have morals, then what do you have? So I was asked to do a logo or to upgrade a logo because that's what I've been doing lately. Like people come with a logo and they're like, "Oh my gosh, can you help me?" And I'm like, "Yes, wow, this is it." But I had a lady come to me with a logo. It was not a horse industry person, so that was kind of the first like, do I really want to do this? But second, she had a beauty business, and she wanted a lion with long, flowy, like 24 inches of hair with pink lipstick, eyelashes, and a crown for her logo. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. You can go to Fiverr for that. I'm not doing that. Like, I don't know what to tell you. First of all, the male lion is the one with the mane. Like, this is confusing. My animal science degree is screaming right now. And second of all, just because you sell bundles, lashes, and lip gloss doesn't mean that your logo needs to say all those things. And she disagreed. She was like, no, that's what I want. And I said, okay, we'll find someone else to do it. I'm not, you're not going to stress me out over this. You can stress me out, if there was a horse person, like, I just, the leg is not in the right place for the pee off. Okay, I will work with you, but I'm not working with you on that. Okay. And then the second thing is a quote. I cannot remember where I got it from, or who said it, but it was that um, people's budget does not influence your price. So that's another way that I say, hey, this is what I need. I know the value of what I offer because I did the research. I researched a bunch of people. I researched people in the horse industry and not in the horse industry. What are they charging for these same services? I take into account that I'm kind of newer on the scene, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to work for pennies. If your budget does not match, what the requirements are, then this might not be the company for you. And that's okay. That's okay. It's hard. It's hard when you know that, you have bills to pay, but are you also putting in 40 hours of work for, $10 an hour
Mm-hmm.
and expected to produce the same result? Like, I'm not doing that.
And I think that gets lost in translation a lot on projects, especially as they evolve. Sometimes they get to be bigger than expected. And I think for some
Mhm.
business owners, it's easy to say yes to the work, take it on, and then not realize how many hours are actually put into it. So I would encourage business owners to start timing themselves on some of their projects so they realize at the end of the day, all right, it takes me 20 hours to complete this client's project. And so I charge them, X amount of dollars. This is what I'm actually making on an hourly basis. And like, oh crap, that's not that much.
Right,
So,
right. And the thing is, people aren't paying you an hourly rate.
right.
You can think about that on the backhand, but that shouldn't be the forethought. Like, I'm gonna charge $1,000 and I'm gonna work for 100 hours. So that's $10. No, like, people are paying for the fact that you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the hours that you spent learning your craft. That's what they're
Oh
paying
yeah.
for, you know. So yeah, it's definitely, it's hard to say no, but you have to figure out, like, what can you do in that time, that if you would have agreed to that client, you could have made this for another client, but now you can't because you're connected with this client. I have a current client, and we're working on an event, and I was terrified to send this response, but I did it, and I was just like, send, like. But I'm working on a website, and she asked for a step and repeat. You know what that is? It's like the big,
It's
like,
like a photo backdrop, more or
yeah,
less. Yeah.
that. She was like, "Oh yeah, can you design that for me?" And I was like, that's outside the terms of our agreement. You didn't hire me as a graphic designer. I'm not designing graphics. I am doing your website. So if you want us to add an addendum, then yeah, and be prepared to pay me for that. But if not, I know you have a virtual assistant. Put that on her list. Like I can't help you. And I mean, she just asked me a completely different question after that. Like, she didn't even respond, and I was just like, oh, okay.
Bullet dodged.
Yeah, like, oh God, here we go. Am I gonna lose this entire contract or what? But I mean, it was out of good faith. Like, I was right. Like, this is not what you hired me to do. And you have to, as a business owner, say, like, oh, you're right. Like, this is outside of of our agreement.
And to be honest, I think sometimes it pains us more to say no than for the person to hear no, because sometimes the person on the other end is just asking the question, doesn't really care that much about the answer. If it's no, it's no, not a big deal. Some do care more than others.
Yeah.
But in a lot of cases, I think maybe we tend to overthink turning down work more than the other party, the person who's asking for it.
Yeah.
So that's something to take into consideration too. So let's talk about your day-to-day life now. You're not working a 9 to 5 anymore. What does a day in the life of Black Unicorn Creative look like?
No 2 days are the same. It has allowed me freedom to do the things that I enjoy, the things that I was having to take off work for. I have a miniature horse that I do therapy work with. Obviously now we're not doing that much work because of Corona, but I'm able to work with my co-hosts nonprofit more closely. We went to Maryland on Monday and Kentucky on Thursday, just to pick up donations, like huge ones. And so it's given me freedom. It's given me freedom to do and freedom to think. I need to write a blog post about this, but I am starting to believe that people are not meant to sleep like 8 hours a day, like 8 hours consecutively. Okay, I am a napper. I like to take naps. This has given me the freedom to take naps. But if I take a nap, I'm usually up like early in the morning. So I had this day where this night I was up at 2:00 in the morning, and I felt like I was having ideas. And so I started writing them down, and I thought to myself, if I had to be to work at 7, if I had to get up at 5, like I used to, I wouldn't be able to get these ideas out. I would have had to tell myself, like, no, you can't do this right now. You got to go back to sleep because you're be cranky and late for work, And so, I mean, from this 2 a.m. brain dump, I have 5 pages of stuff. Like, and I stare at, like, I legitimately stare at it on a daily basis. But I mean, I planned all of my content for October. I've literally got all of like the freebies that I want to make and all these digital products and things like that. And I'm just like, if I didn't have the freedom to, do work when my mind says, hey, we need to work, whether that be 2 a.m. or 6 p.m. If I'm making the same amount of progress, why does it matter what time I'm doing it? So that is
Mm-hmm.
that is kind of what my day looks like. I mean, I sit in my office and sometimes I sit in my bed. Sometimes I sit outside. I do, you know what? I'm probably not going to sit outside anymore. I tried to sit in the pasture with the minis, right? And I tweeted about this and I realized how ridiculous it sounds. Non-horse people with my tweet. But I was like, I was sitting outside and working and my mini came up, and if I don't scratch him, he paws. And he kicked my computer. First of all, it's a MacBook. And I had to get the dirt off of it. But now my exclamation point, which is my favorite piece of punctuation, is sticky.
No, so the button doesn't work right?
Yeah, it's like it doesn't have the click. It's like I press it and there's no difference, but it does show up on the screen.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, you little turd nugget. I could punch you, but I'm not. But I'm not going to do that anymore. So it's just my office, my bed, and my living room. That's it.
Sounds sounds like a good plan moving forward. Or you need to fence off like a special corner for you in the pasture if you're going to go back there.
Right. I mean, I had my yoga mat and everything, and he was like, la-di-da, pow.
Oh, it makes me cringe. I have a MacBook also, so I'm just like, oh,
I know.
I can just feel your pain.
Too expensive for all that.
So we are going to open it up for questions. Obviously, we're hosting this on Zoom tonight, but if anyone does have any questions, if you want to drop them in the chat, we'll try to get to them during the session. And we are going to be posting this recording to Facebook and probably to YouTube as well. So, Abriana, what advice would you share with someone who's been doing what you were doing, which is, you had the side hustles going and you were like, all right, it's time. I want to move forward. So for someone who hasn't quite felt ready to make that move, what kind of advice would you offer to them?
Yeah. First piece of advice is, like you said, if you can make it a side hustle, like go ahead and get started. It takes a lot of discipline, so you may have to work on it on your lunch breaks. You work on it when you get home. A lot of people I know that have families who want to ride your horse, all those things, but set aside time to work on that, whatever it may be. And that may be how it starts for you as a side hustle. If not, then, go ahead and just make a plan. You have to plan for everything at this point. But I made a worksheet about this entire thing because I think mindset is so important when it comes to taking this leap. So if you go to my website, blackunicorncreative.com/the rollback, you can download this worksheet. But it talks about how to achieve like a change in direction and how to go forward in this new direction. So the first thing, as far as advice, is know where you want to go. Like, what is it that you want to do? And a couple of questions I ask is, what are you good at? What skills do you already have? What did you not like or what do you not like from your current job? Make sure you're not taking that into your new direction. Say, I don't like working from 9 to 5. Okay, well, make sure you work in a job that's flexible. I don't like working directly with clients, because I was in an animal hospital. That's just one of the things. I do like working with clients, but that's just an example. Work in a job where you can be selective who you work with, or have a higher ticket price so that you have to work with the least amount of people possible. you know? So, it's things like that. You kind of have to strategize and see, hey, if I'm going to make this leap, I'm not going to leap into something else I don't like. I'm going to leap into something that I have dreamt of, my whole life. Second thing is knowing what your foundation is and what you need to get there. Like, what resources do you need? What does this entire thing involve? Do you need to get more certifications?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to be a therapeutic writing instructor? Who do you need to get certified with? You can say like, hey, this is what I want to do, but if you don't have a plan, then how truly committed to this are you? And then that's the last thing, have a plan. Go into it knowing what resources you need, what you already have, and kind of what that direction looks like. If you want to be this riding instructor, do you need to find a barn? Do you already have a barn? What horses do you have? Are they trained to be therapeutic riding horses? Like, you can't just say you want to do this and you got bucked off last week. That's not how this works. Not how this works. So, all plans can be adjusted for sure. But that you have to think about that.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of resources, what were some resources that helped you when you got started? Did you have any books that you felt were really helpful, or any online reading? What kind of stuff did you dive into?
Yeah. So one of the things that I did was I found people in the industry I wanted to be in, whether it be just like marketing or, user experience, web design. Like, I found those people and I watched what they did. I said, hey, like, what is it that attracts people to you? What do you offer? What knowledge do you provide your audience? I am on a boatload of like email lists because I want to know, like, what is this value that is being delivered to your people? Because this is the professional. I too want to be a professional. And it's not about copying people, because there's no new ideas, but it's, understanding what is valuable in that space. Mm-hmm. And then I also got books. I can't remember. I think that I got these books for my birthday last year, maybe for Christmas, but this one, You're a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life. And she also has one about money, finance. That's going to be on my Amazon list for my birthday this year. Because I feel like, we could talk about this like a whole other time, but a lot of people have issues with money.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that like you can have a lot of money. Like, you can earn that money. Some people are scared, like, oh my God, what do I do with this money? So just framing mindset around the fact, like, money equals success. Holy crap, what if I become successful? That's like a whole nother mindset section. Like, what if you become successful? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do when you don't have to grind so hard, when you don't have to stay up all late at night? You're gonna be bored. What? Those are the things that I think about. I'm like, okay, let me not hold myself back just because I'm afraid of being bored when I become successful. Mm-hmm. Like, as I say that out loud, how does that make sense?
Well, I would encourage people to think ahead to what that might look like too, because it's not about, killing yourself and working yourself into the ground, because the whole reason you want to do your own business for most people is because they enjoy it. So they want to still have fun. They want to make money. And how do you bring those two together? Like you said, this can be a whole other conversation, but at the end of the day, we're not looking to, be completely drained and exhausted to the point where we don't love what we used to love. Right. So that's definitely important. At what point do you think you're going to need to have team members? How busy, how many clients do you think that might look like? How many sales? Mm-hmm. So it does require some of that research and legwork up front, because it's easy to jump in and just be like, all right, I'm going to run my business. But until you actually have the plan, like you said, laid out, and you look at the numbers on paper, one resource, just to throw this out there for people who are watching too, you can work with your small business development centers if you aren't sure where to start. And those are typically free, and they'll help you with like guidebooks and plans and things for that as well. So there's definitely free resources out there for people who are, you know, interested in getting a better structure set up front, which is very important for your business to last.
Yeah, yeah. And then the second book that I haven't made it all the way through, I'm like halfway through, but it's called The $1,000,000 One Person Business. Make great money, work the way you like, and have the life you want. So that's not that I intend on, you know, being a one person business forever, but I mean, they have an example in here of a lady that technically is a one person business. She just outsources to all these different contractors, and like she's making bank. So it kind of puts you in perspective of what kinds of businesses are possible, and what what you can do with yours.
Awesome. Well, Brianna, we're going to wrap things up. So why don't you tell people where they can find you online?
Yes, yes, yes. You can visit my website, blackunicorncreative.com. If you type in abrianajohnson.com, you'll be taken to the same site. Learn that trick. And then you can find me on Instagram at the Abriana J. I have a Facebook page. I think it's at the same. And yeah, I'm on Twitter too at the Abriana J. I don't know how many of y'all be tweeting, but
I'm
I
still
try.
tweeting.
I try. I haven't been on Twitter very long, but I had like a semi-viral tweet today. I mean, it's not really viral, but it's got like 200 likes, and I'm just like, oh,
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's awesome. All right. Well, I'll be sure to include links to those in the video description. So for people that are watching this after the fact, if you click into our video description, you'll find all of the ways that you can find Brianna and get her free downloads, follow her on her social media, and all that good stuff. So, all right. Well, Brianna, thank you so much for being here. It was great having you. And we're looking forward to seeing what you do in the days ahead.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I am so happy that I found this group, because I am like a sponge at this point. I like soaking up all the information from everybody. So yes, please talk to me, reach out to me if you have questions. Like, let's just chat it up, because I like to talk about it.
All right, awesome. And if you would like to join our group, if you're not a member already and you're finding this recording on YouTube or another platform, just search for Horse Industry Business Owners on Facebook and you'll find us there. All right, thanks for watching.